Everybody. Welcome back to the Blitz. This is the week 3 edition of the podcast coming into week 4 of our fantasy league. As you notice, our usual host, the commissioner, Sal III Liguori, is not here today for undisclosed reasons. However, we brought to you a great guest to be taking his place today. We got Baby Sal, another league member, another owner, a former league winner. Baby Sal, say hello to the people.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Glad to be here. It's a pleasure. I've been waiting so long for this moment. Let's get it.
Baby Sal, of all of our guests we've had so far, definitely has the best background. He's got the jersey on, he's got the hat on. It seems like he's really in character. He's really excited to bring us an animated podcast. He's been requesting to make an appearance on this podcast for multiple weeks now, so we're definitely happy to get him on. And we're just going to jump right into it. Obviously, if you're in this league and you have 2 eyes, you are able to see all the trade controversy that generated this week. So before we get into the power ranks in the match like we normally do, it would be unjust if we did not touch upon the trade, breaking trade that happened between Junior and I, all the controversy surrounding it, people quitting the league because of it, things of that nature. So Baby Sal was nice enough to look into the contract and really analyze the trade rules for this league and give it a little bit more of an analysis than some of us did, including myself. So do you want to enlighten us on your view of the trade policy in general, what you thought of how it all went down, and kind of how you think we're going with the contract, Baby Sal?
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's start with the fact that a contract is always a contract for a reason. We all sign it. We all agree to it, and it's there so we can follow it. And honestly, if you read the rules, the first, second, third rule is all about trading. It's right there in plain English. So I think we already have a good thing in place. We followed it. We didn't step away from it. We didn't stray from what's there. Again, nothing went wrong. I think emotions got involved, and obviously you see where we're at now. But we are going to improve it, and I think that's what we're doing right now. So if you want to touch on like what we're doing versus what we have now, you can do that if you want. You talked us out directly.
Yeah. So you and I were talking off air before, and you brought up a good point about how we're pretty much have a solid system intact with the commissioner, and then we have the 2 co-commissioners who make the decision on whether or not the trade is going to go through, which kind of serve as a trade committee, which I think is a good idea. One thing that the league might not know, and one thing that we're still kind of unsure of how to handle, is what to do if one of the league members themselves are involved in the trade. So a couple weeks ago, we had Big Boy, who was one of the 3 trade negotiators, a fellow co-commissioner of the league, and he was involved in a trade. Obviously, he was frustrated with how it all went down. But for those of you that don't know, the contract, I believe Sal states that if one of the members is placed in there, he cannot vote on whether the trade's going to get pushed through, and another member has to be appointed to decide. Is that accurate?
I'll read it thoroughly for you guys.
All right.
So if one of the 3 chairmen is involved in the trade, the other 2 chairmen will have to come to a decision to decide if the trade is not fair or is fair or not. And then a sub part to that is any inconclusive decision or split decision will be left as a vote for the league to decide. That's what we currently have.
Okay. Yeah, so for anyone that was unaware of that rule, as I myself was actually unclear before reading this, hopefully you now have a better understanding of how we're going to approach that if that does occur again, that type of situation. And then for everyone that was wondering why there was a league vote and why our commissioner was actually asking for opinions on the Big Boys trade, it was actually because the trade was declined 2-0 by Commissioner Sal and Co-Commissioner Luke. So therefore, that would be it. It was a unanimous decision. The only reason they would appoint another person is if it was a 1-1, and then they had to appoint another to have the deciding vote. However, Sal, the commissioner, decided to go around just to give Big Boy's team, him and peace of mind, just to kind of show them that it wasn't their fault that they vetoed it, and even if it were to go to a league vote, it would have lost anyways. So that's just some clarification there for everyone listening. I just also want to kind of preface my view of trades in general, not just speaking of mine, and kind of how I think they should be analyzed moving forward for people and how you should look at them. Just one big point I want to make is that I don't think that where you drafted your player and the roster of the person who is being traded has anything to do with the analysis of the trade. Meaning by that is, I don't think that now, once the season has begun, you could say, you can't trade him to this person because he's a first-round pick and he's a third-round pick. The season has begun. Juju Smith-Schuster was a first-round pick in some leagues. Amari Cooper, Adam Thielen, guys like that were third-round picks. I wouldn't even trade Juju for those two guys. I think those two guys are higher than them. So just because he's a first-round pick doesn't mean that he still holds that first-round pick value. I mean, there was that year that Odell Beckham was drafted in, the 13th round, his rookie year. He ended up as a top 5 receiver. There was that year Devontae Freeman he almost went undrafted in some leagues. He ended up as the top running back. So you can't go by draft value or where you pick the guys in the round once the trade analysis is being done. Because, like I said, the league started already. So all that goes down the drain. You can't say, oh, this guy's a second-round pick and this guy's a fifth-round pick. Yeah, but guess what? That fifth-round pick might be holding first-round pick value right now. So you can't go by that anymore. I highly suggest not looking at trades that way in the future because I don't think that's the correct way to look at it because the season started. Maybe, Sal, you want to add any opinions that you have on
absolutely.
how people should look at them, etc.
I think we're allowing them to go too far into it. At the end of the day, this is fantasy football, and drafting the part of it. It's a huge part of it. You know me from the past. I'm not a big trader. I'm sorry, I said drafting. I meant trading. I'm not a big trader, but I'm trying to get myself into it too. I think it's fun. It sucks letting someone go. That's why I stuck with my gut for so long with teams. But we have to encourage trading. Okay, like obviously if a lopsided trade like today, Joey sent me a BS trade. Obviously it's just a joke. All right, we don't want that stuff. That stuff's gonna get denied. But there are trades that both sides see a piece that they could use. Like yours and Junior's was a perfect trade to kind of set the bar. I mean, I'm just going to touch on that because that was Austin Ekeler and Christian Kirk for Nick Chubb, right?
Correct.
You gave him Nick Chubb and you got Nick Chubb and you gave them Austin Ekeler and
right.
Christian Kirk. So if you look at that from perspective, if let's just say Melvin Gordon's not coming back, I actually looked at it like, okay, Junior is getting a lopsided trade as of right now, the current state, right? But saw your vision, long run. There's already talks about Melvin coming back. Melvin comes back. You have Nick Chubb as the number 1 running back throughout the rest of your season. So good. You got your long-term value, but he's getting immediate value right now still, even with Ekeler's situation. So at the end, it's still a fairly fair trade, especially if he agrees to it. So I don't see the problem. As a competitor, I did first look at it, and you could read Sal's text, my text. I'm like, oh, well, this doesn't look good. You make the better team better, right? Make your first place. Why make them better? But then I really saw your vision, and I'm like, listen, we got to encourage trading. So, let's do the right thing. Let's make an unbiased decision on it. And so I went with the trade. And I think we all should, honestly. So I'm looking to do it this week. So I hope we get clear.
That was exactly my mindset in terms of accepting that. Like I talked about earlier, in the chat for people that were unaware of how the kind of trade kind of went down. It was offered to me, and when I was accepting it, I was actually kind of reluctant a little bit. Because the way I was thinking is, if Austin Ekeler stays and Melvin Gordon doesn't come back, I lost that trade hands down. I mean, like I go back to the whole round thing. What did I get? Austin Ekeler, 5th or 6th round, but he's putting up round 1 value. Nick Chubb, what did he go in the 1st round? But guys, Dalvin Cook went in the 2nd round. Dalvin Cook's the best running back in football. So we can't. Take that
that first where you picked him is bullshit.
Yeah, we can't go by rounds and where you picked your guys. If you go by where you picked your guys right now, and then you look at the end of the season, and you think if those guys put up the exact value of the rounds you picked them, you think the guys you picked in the first round all put up first round value?
I looked at my championship team the other day, 2 days ago. But I don't even remember. I remember a couple people. Dude, David Funchess was on my starting championship roster in the season. I picked him up like last second. Like it just where you start and where you finish is so different in fantasy football.
Yeah. Right? I mean, like if fantasy football went the way it was supposed to go, and everybody picked in the first round, put up first round value, everybody was second round, etc., it wouldn't be any fun. If we
Yeah,
could just
people
predict
don't
how it was all
rape
gonna
other
go,
people. Like there's too many. Like when you're dealing with a bunch of like idiots, these people
I
can
think
be all.
so I don't want to beat the dead horse on this trade thing, but I wanted to just get that off
Yeah,
and let Sal say his piece, and then kind of say mine in terms of again, I can't stress enough that we've got to look at the value of the actual two guys being traded. You
it's
can't
a
say
risk reward.
this guy's team is going to be stacked because he's getting that trade. Who he has on his roster outside of the trade shouldn't influence the players within the trade. If he has a good team outside of the trade, that's not anybody else's problem. He drafted well, he picked up well, but you can't say this trade's going to make his team even better, so let's not pass it through. That's not how we can look at things.
No, you can't look at.
I mean, obviously, we saw that when we put it to league vote, the league imploded, so it's not going to go to league vote anyways. I do think that with the stepping down of Big Boy from the chair, I do think that we have two competent co-commissioners and trade evaluators, and Luca Duccio and Nick Santuccio, who are going to look at the trades well. Analyze them properly. I don't think they will hold any bias. So I think that down the road, hopefully we don't have any issues with this because, like Sal said, I mean, fantasy's fun. That's what it's about. I think league trading should be encouraged in leagues too. I think that's what makes it fun.
One more thing on the trades. We're going to get to a certain point in the season where we can't trade anymore, but we also can't touch teams that are going in the playoffs. So this is open trading window right now. This is when trades need to happen. So we're running out of time by bullshitting. That's all I want to say because I'd like to get a trade done by next week.
Yeah. So you guys heard it here first. If you guys are listening at home, Baby Sal is open for trade. Yeah. I see a lot of people actually sending out trades now, which is good. I mean, I know we started a lot of controversy with the trades, but a lot of people are starting sending trades too. I got a bunch of trades from Nikki. I know ACAS is trying to make moves.
Nikki just sent one to the other Nick. So
yeah, I mean, Baby Sal just got a trade from sent to him from Nick as we were recording the podcast. So yeah, I definitely encourage that. Sal, our commissioner, although he couldn't make it here today, I know he just got news of Melvin Gordon coming back, so I'm sure he's up for trade. He could be a stud. So if anyone's looking at that, definitely encourage trading. And just before I get into the ranks, I would not be a fair podcast host if I didn't touch on the news of the league, breaking news. There's two people I want to touch on. The first one is Joey. The second one is Big. I'm going to let Baby Sal give his opinion on what Joey is doing because he's the one that received the trade from Joey. Does he think that Joey's acting out of line? How does he see Joey's future in the league moving forward for years to come? Does he think he should be in the league? All that kind of stuff. So can you touch on that? And then I'll touch on my opinion on Big Boy, and then we'll get to the rest.
This is a tough one. We all love each other. I love my cousins to death. So. And, I mean, Joey just got to figure out where his heart is. It's not fantasy football. We'll find a replacement next year, but he's still got to get through this year. You still already committed, That's number one. And if you want to back out, then we got to find we got to change managers for sure. But I really want everyone to come back together and just be happy again. Whatever's going on outside of fantasy football, you should use fantasy football as an outlet to kind of get away from that shit. And, we shouldn't be getting mad at each other over fantasy football. This should be something we have fun and we can literally get not worry about our demons and all the other shit. This is where we kind of just come together. I don't get to see you guys all the time.
Headspace not in the right area. You think that has something to do with it?
I mean, I hope not, but it probably is. And we're all here to talk about it. Don't go away from us, or anyone. It could be anyone next week. I could be in a bad place. There was times in this league where I wasn't with you guys. Right? I wasn't always in a good place in the headspace. We all have been there. So, but that's what we're here for, friends and family. That's it.
So do you think that him, trying to sit all his players and send out stupid trades, you think that acting that way is just hurting the cause? You don't think that that's solving anything, right?
No, just making it more of a joke. Yeah.
Right. So you're kind of with the point that if he can get his head right, and enjoy the time that he should totally be in next year, but if his heart's not in it, then we don't want him in if he's just gonna have to leave.
One of the issues too is it got vetoed, but now I feel like my players locked up. I want to still make trades. I'm kind of feel like I'm locked up on that situation right now. So when does the veto go through? Now we just kind of wasted time. I feel like.
Resources. Yeah, I hear you. For those who don't know what we're referencing, Joey and Baby Sal. Joey offered Baby Sal a trade. I think it was Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins for who was it?
For John Ross II.
For John Ross. And Baby Sal accepted the trade. It went to a league vote because we wanted to try that and see how that worked out, and that clearly didn't work. It got vetoed very quickly. So I think that making these nonsensical trades, just if you're trying to prove a point, it's lame. We all paid good money to be in this. I mean, and Baby Sal, you and I were talking about off air. Although his team sucks and he's 0-3, I mean, he could turn the season around. It's not over for him yet, right?
No, absolutely. Like I said, 0-3. That's it's. I mean, we play a 13, 14 week season, so that's we'll say a third, or yeah, a fourth. We're a fourth in this season, right? That's nothing, nothing.
Yeah.
And also too, like with your trade, Junior sent it to you.
Right.
So from my side of the coin, like why would I not approve a trade that I see like that? I know it's lopsided, but why not give it a shot? He sent me the trade. That's why I approved it. Not to add to the joke, but I don't know. I gave it a shot.
All right.
I actually think countering him and giving him value. But
yeah.
I do want one of those players because I have.
I would encourage that. I do encourage trading. I think it makes the league fun, and hopefully Joey comes to his senses, finishes the season out strong. I'd hate to see him
be. I actually did talk to Joey, by the way. So
okay, so hopefully.
He told me on the parkway, which is kind of funny on the way home. Yeah, it was the way home. It was just ironic, and we talked about it a bit, and he just said he was messing around, but we did talk about actual being serious about trade talks.
So. Okay. All right. Well, I'm glad that those talks are starting to spark up and be generated here. Because like you said, the trade deadline come before you know it, playoffs come before you know it, and then you don't want to be regretting, oh shit, I should have traded for this guy, and then you can't anymore. So thank you for that. And then before we go on touch on the ranks, I got to talk about the breaking news. Former league winner and league competitor Anthony Cast made his return to the league this year as a co-manager with the reigning champ Big Boy. So it's nice to see him back. But over the recent trade disputes, Big Boy has decided to step down and relinquish his power in controlling the team. He has left the fantasy chat. He has made clear to the commissioner that he does not want to be a part of the league for the remainder of the year. So that means that Anthony Cass will be taking over the team full time. It's an 0-3 team. It's a little bit rough, but Anthony Cass is a former league winner. He knows what he's doing, and I'd definitely like to see him turn it around. If he could, I think that would be a crazy turn of events. The reason Boy left, I think that he got a little bit emotional about everything that happened because, as we talked about earlier, his trade initially got vetoed. And now that Junior, being his brother, sent me the trade and he didn't like the way the trade looked and that went through, I think that really set him off. I just want to do a quick comparison kind of to the situation that's going on with Antonio Brown right now. Antonio Brown, arguably best receiver in the league, if not top three. I think he's won in terms of route running and everything like that. He played one game for the Patriots, looked phenomenal. But anybody that has two eyes and ears understands the drama that he's putting on this year. And, kind of where his head's been at on the offseason. So I think the same thing with Big Boy. I mean, obviously he has talent. Big Boy won this league last year. I'm pretty sure he was a semifinalist the year before. He won my other league last year, which not everybody here is in, but Nick Santucci's in it, Luca Dujo's in it, Ant's in it, and I myself am in it. He won that league last year, so he was a 2-league champ last year. He obviously has the talent, but it's funny. I saw segment on ESPN where they were talking to reporters about AB, and a direct quote is, he does have some mental and emotional issues, but I think he will play again. That is when there was a question asked on whether Antonio Brown would see the field again. And I do think that correlates a little bit of a big situation. I think that maybe it was the heat of the moment. It got to him. He's a little bit frustrated, but I do think we will see him again in the league. He's a big part of it. He just hoisted the trophy, 2 months ago? We had a big celebration for him. I don't think it's over for him. If it is, I wish him the best of luck, but I really hope it's not over. I think he has a lot of talent just related to the AB thing. I think he does his research. He puts together a nice little Excel spreadsheet. He does a lot of different graphs and listens to podcasts before. I know he's serious. What do you think before we go to the ranks? Anything you want to touch on with Big Boy situation? So,
I mean, other than loving him to death, no, he's really passionate about fantasy football. There's no joke. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of things in life that he's excited about. Fantasy football is up there. We both know that. He needs to be here. This is bottom line. We can't really continue this league without the kid. Well, he'll be back. I believe in that. Yep. Let's just move forward. There's a lot of teams to touch on.
All right. Let's go with the let's go with the rankings now. We're gonna go matchup by matchup, so we can kind of kill two birds with one stone. 12 teams in the league, so we got six matchups each week. We could just start from top to bottom. I guess we can go with my matchup, how we had it here. Don's bad versus the decline trades, which is Don himself. Baby Sal, do you have that matchup up? If not, I'll give you a chance to pull it up.
That looks like the best matchup of the week, but good place to start. I got it.
Okay. Yeah. So, I'll let you take it away. Anything you see there? Any key players? Anything that shocked you about that week?
No.
And how do you see both teams moving forward? I mean, we got just so everybody knows, we have my team number 1 in the ranks, and we had Don a little bit lower. I believe he was the 11th spot.
Should I just touch on the match, or you want to go through the teams individually after?
While we have the teams up here, we could do a little bit of both. But I guess go through the matchup, walk me through your thoughts
so
there.
I guess that this was definitely the matchup of the week. 134-94, bounced back to 125-44, declining trades. Doesn't get too much closer than that, especially for this week. Russell Wilson was definitely MVP. There's no denying that. I think your team had an off week, so just keep it real. I mean, Eckler was solid, Kirk was solid, Thomas is solid, but that's not Thomas's numbers. That's a bad week for Thomas. Odell didn't do much that week. Carson fell off hard this week. I mean, dude, honestly, without Russell Wilson, you're not winning that game.
Right.
But you're gonna have weeks like that. Someone's got to carry the team, right?
Right.
I think this is Adon's team.
Yes.
I think some of his players stepped up from what he's been doing. Tyreek, what happened to him? I know he had a good week, but I think he's a little banged up. Let's see.
Was that Hilton?
Yeah, T.Y. Hilton, I think, is banged up. He had 25 or 2050. Sorry, that's a pretty good stat line for him. Shepard 27-10. He had a very solid week. Fournette was solid. Kittle finally got a little bit on the board. I think his players kind of had his team had a good week, but Russell Wilson took it away. That's really the bottom line, I think. Quarterbacks can do that. Top 4 quarterbacks can do that, and that's what Wilson is right now. So.
How do you think Don's team will respond moving forward? We have him at number 10 in the power rankings right now. Do you think that he can make some moves? Do you think he should leave his team how it is? Do you think you see some potential upside in him making a late playoff push? What do you think about him moving forward?
We all know Tom Brady will be good for 20 to 25 points, but if Aaron Rodgers can get back to Aaron Rodgers' strength, he probably could have gone toe-to-toe with you or anyone, because he could use a little more push for that position. I don't know the AJ Green time frame. It doesn't look as good as it was in the before the season. I think it might even be half the season at least. So, but that can give him some help. You got to drop Eli Manning. You're wasting a roster position there. And my biggest point is why I'm not trying to help too many people out tonight, but why is AJ Green on his roster when he could be on the IR position? So he's missing 2 roster spots. So he could definitely make moves.
Yeah, I mean, shout out Don. I know you're my competitor, but I do want to keep the league, fair and at least a little bit competitive for us.
Deshaun Jackson's on his IR. I'm sorry, but yeah.
I definitely agree with Sal. I think you should drop Eli Manning. And as for the matchup itself, as for the matchup itself, I think you nailed it right on the head. I did not have a good week. If you look at my numbers, besides Russell Wilson, the highest guy on my team scored 16 points. So for everyone that's saying my team was a lock to win the whole thing, I think that's very premature. I mean, I know I added Nick Chubb, but I don't think he's going to account for all these points. I mean, if my guys keep having these off weeks, I'm going to lose some games. Odell Beckham and the Browns offense has not looked great. They have not been looked like I was talking about rounds before. Odell's not putting up round 1 numbers. Neither is Michael Thomas. I mean, 16 points, 54 yards, and 5 catches. That's not Michael Thomas. That's like an off day for Michael Thomas. I think that Drew Brees not playing is hurting him. I think that Baker Mayfield playing like shit is hurting Odell. Chris Carson is nowhere to be found. He has fumble issues. 53 yards, not too great from him. Mark Andrews was a stud in week 1 and 2. He didn't have a good week. Christian Kirk I traded away, so I'm going to have to figure something out for my flex. Yeah, I mean, like Sal said, sometimes that's the luxury of drafting quarterbacks early. when you get one of those big top 3 or 4 quarterbacks, they could drop in games like that. And Russell Wilson carried me to this win. I mean, it was definitely not a team effort. He dropped 47 points. My next highest guy was 16 points. I mean, Don's team actually played a little bit more well-rounded than my team did. I mean, overall, it's a total points game, but it wasn't pretty, but I'll take it. I mean, I'm gonna have weeks like that. I'm glad that it was able to be against Don, who had kind of a weaker team, so I was able to squeak out with the win.
I think we should highlight some of these people like James Conner. Very upsetting to 3 weeks. Like 7 points isn't going to cut it for him. It's kind of sad what you see. I mean, Kittle just got over 10 points this week. I'm not even looking at his other 2 weeks, but I know he didn't put up a lot. And who is really going off is McLaurin, which I think I saw him in your projected start for this week. So
yeah, I'm sliding him in. I think he was a nice little pickup. He's become the #1 receiver on the Redskins, and the Redskins are pretty bad, so they're losing a lot. And I think that they're going to be throwing the ball, and he scored a touchdown in all 3 games so far. They're playing a shitty-ass Giants defense this week, so I'm probably going to slide him into the starting lineup and see what he could do.
I think he's a high-end flex, man.
I think so too. As far as Don's team, I agree with you. I think that Sterling Shepard's going to be a viable starting option every week, especially with Daniel Jones the way he looked. He's going to be slinging the ball. Sterling Shepard put up 100 receiving yards with a new quarterback on his first game back this season from injury. I mean, you can't ask for much better than that. And like we talked about before with the trade talks about value, James Conner was the 5th overall pick, bro. This guy, let me see his points so far. He's put up 10, 13, and 7. I mean, yeah, he's a 1st overall pick, but I wouldn't even trade him for a 3rd overall pick at this point. I mean, that's where I'm talking about trades. You can't say this guy was a 1st overall pick, so it's not fair if you trade him. He's a 1st overall pick. He's putting up 5th overall pick numbers, if that. So I mean, I think that Don kind of got the shit end of the stick with that one for a 1st overall pick. Maybe he could look to trade him.
Man, I mean, like Don, you got to make moves, bud. You can't leave 2 roster advanced spots open. You need a running back. Running back is hurting you. James Conner isn't doing anything, and dude, I don't know if you guys saw, but Fournette didn't have any points. He had negative points until the last one play. You guys 60-yard play. So you got to look at running backs, dude.
Yeah, those are
at this point the waiver wire is drying up. You're gonna have to make trades.
Those are 2 backs that I was big on before the year started. But like I said, I mean, sometimes how they're supposed to do and how they do don't work out.
Yeah, I'm in that position too. So.
All right, so I think we covered this matchup pretty well. We could touch on the next matchup. I got Black Sheep versus 7 is greater than 10, who is the combination of Big Boy and a cast team. It's now actually taken over.
Name back. I really enjoy seeing that name back. As you can see, I mean, 7's already hanging up.
Yeah, Baby Sal is definitely a big fan of the 7. This matchup, it honestly went how I expected. I assumed the Black Sheep was going to blow them out. However, I didn't think the Black Sheep was going to put up 170 points. And over the past couple weeks that the Ant Square duo was putting up, I think that this was a good week for them. I mean, 128 is not bad. They had some guys come alive. Evan Ingram looked good under the new Daniel Jones-led offense. Joe Mixon is alive. Who the hell knew? David Montgomery did his thing. I mean, I think he gives you like a nice 10, 11-point floor, which is better than he got 3 points week 1. I think Julian Edelman, with the absence of AB, is gonna slide into as a nice wide receiver 2. And it just seems that they're not getting the wide receiver 1 first pick value out of Devontae Adams, which is hurting them. I mean, that was their 1st round pick. And I can't stress it enough. I mean, the round you pick him, I would take Adam Thielen over Devontae Adams at this point. Adam Thielen's a 3rd round guy. Sometimes you don't get out of your picks and it hurts you. What do you think, Sal?
Well, how far do you want me to go into each team? Like, are we going to go back around? Because I do have a lot to say about Anthony Cass's new full team since he's taken over.
Yeah, I mean, while we're on him, why don't you?
Because we were talking about last week's, because I have a lot more to say about what he's doing going forward. But
yeah, so why don't you just maybe sum up this matchup? I mean, there's not too much to say. If there's anything you'd like to add,
I save a lot of that for the later part.
And then then you could, and then after you wrap that up, since we're on the topic, why don't you talk about how you think he's going to look going forward?
Yeah, sure. Again, I mean, 170 is a really good number in this league. We got to put that there. 127, 90 is always going to be a solid number. Where did we lose this match? So Tyler Lockett and Christian McCaffrey. Well, Tyler Lockett just had an amazing week. That's number 1. McCaffrey 29.80. I feel like that's what you want him to do. And Henry fell off this week. Jared Goff hasn't been good. John Brown had a quick start, but I think he's where he should be. I don't think he's going to give you too high of a ceiling. Marvin Jones Jr. stepped up a bit, but again, that's another player who you don't know what you're getting out of him. You know what's funny though? Sal's kicker and defense even stepped up pretty. So you can't sleep. And he got 18 points just off of those two. That doesn't hurt. I think it's just the consistency of Sal's team here. This wasn't a far off match.
Yeah, I mean, I think he had some guys that really hit hard. If they can continue doing that, I think he's going to have a great season. But some of these guys, I don't know if they're all going to put up that consistent numbers. I don't know if I see Marvin Jones dropping 100 yards again. I don't think Austin Hooper's going to get 2 touchdowns again every week.
It was a good week, man. It was a good week.
But yeah, I mean, the guy.
And D. Adams, where the fuck has D. Adams been? Like 960, dude. That's killing him. And DK Metcalf, I think he's a good player. He's young. You got to be careful flexing rookies. Should be a start.
I could see the thought there because it wasn't. I mean, that game shootout. Russell Wilson put up 400 yards. It's just not much of them were to DK Metcalf. But I could see their thought.
Look who put up the points, not DK Metcalf. Lockett got it.
I know. I mean, that sometimes that works out. Sometimes it works out that way. But you wanted to talk about how you think that ACAS team is going to look moving forward now that he took over, any moves that he's made. Do you think that he could bounce back from this 0-3 start? What do you think he should do differently, and how do you foresee it happening in the future weeks?
To be honest, I already looked. I think he's ready just because today was waiver day. I thought he did an excellent job already. I think from top to bottom, I'm even talking picking up Los Angeles Chargers, which I didn't get because of him. I mean, any team that's going against Miami is going to be a great defense to start.
Yeah.
For forecast, Miami's not playing next week, so you're going to have to pick a different one next week. But I think that's a great strategy if you need a defense. If you're doing the per week idea, I do that personally.
Yes, start him against the shitty teams. I agree.
Who else did he pick up here?
He slotted Thompson to his starting lineup, I believe.
He got Daniel Jones. So, I mean, Winston had a good week, but Winston got the receivers for it, but I think Daniel Jones has a better floor. And then he's got the Ingram and Jones connection now, so that's nice. I think he needs to fix the position. I think I talked about in the chat earlier. I don't want to give him too much advice, but he could flex someone in. I already see people on his bench. And Chris Thompson's finally stepping up, so that's good. And Mixon too. Mixon might have just started hitting the stride. This is not a bad team. Monty Adams is still MIA, so and Edelman's just been solid. So I don't know. This isn't a blowover team.
All right, so just before we move on to the next matchup, I just want to let everyone know where the rankings stood. So the Ant Bullies, which was the previous team name of 7 is greater than 10, was ranked 11th last week. I think I could foresee them moving up. I think I could see them maybe even passing Don. I mean, Ant's making moves, and Don hasn't. I think that I could see them making a move 10, 9, even 8 if they have a big jump next week. And Sal team, our commissioner, the Black Sheep, he was ranked 4 last week. For this week in power rankings moving into week 4, I could see him moving up if his team keeps hitting. I mean, 170 is a crazy number. I don't think he's going to do that every week, but I think he definitely has one of the stronger sides, especially with Melvin Gordon coming back, which we didn't really talk about. But that's a big deal. If he gets him back sooner than later, which is the reporters are saying, I think he's definitely a team to mess with, and we should look for him in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Okay. So, underneath that, I have Chris Hansen versus Marky Mark and the Shady Bunch. Baby Sal, I'm going to let you take it away because I know you and I talked off air, and you said that Nick Santuccio has one of the stronger teams in the league.
Yeah.
I want to get your feel on his team. Obviously, 183. That's a huge week. I think that's the biggest week we've had so far this season. Do you think he can keep up this pace? What do you think he should do differently? Do you think his team's looking good to make a playoff run? I know it's early, but what do you think about this whole matchup? Did it surprise you, and what do you think about his team in particular?
First of all, I get to play you next this week, so that's be fun. He definitely keep going. He only has a good starting lineup, but he's got a depth, and that's I think what we're touching on. I love Tony Pollard. I'm a Cowboy fan, so a little biased, but dude just put up as a second string running back. He put up 2180. That's ridiculous. I don't think he'll do it every week, but that's just his bench. You know, LaShawn McCoy getting a start, right? He's getting the touches now. We all know what he can do. 23 points. Mike, I think Sanders is slowly getting into that RB1 role on the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Allen Robinson still I don't think has hit a stride, but he can still put up 15 points a game. But that's just his bench players, right? So, I mean, Ezekiel Elliott and Mark Ingram might be the best 1-2 punch right now, based off where we're at. Are you there? A little frozen. Billy, do. Billy, you there, bud? I think Bill froze. I think I might be good.
Hi guys, for everyone who is listening at home, we had a little internet connection malfunction, but we are back. Baby Sal, you were just touching on the Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch versus Chris Hansen matchup. I know that's one of your favorite teams moving forward is the Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, which is Nick Tantuccio's team. Marky Mark and the Shady Bunch, I should say. So I'm not sure how much we got in the recording. So if you just kind of want to start on that again, while the thoughts are fresh in your head.
So again, like I was just talking about his bench and how deep it goes, and the potential that he has on the bench alone, which allows him to look at the trade market. And I think that's what he's doing currently. But if you look at it, 183.02 is what he put up, and he has Emmanuel Sanders, who only put up 3 points this week. Emmanuel Sanders has been what, top 5 receiver so far, 1960 and 2880 the first 2 weeks. I mean, that's solid, top 10 at least. So he had a bad week. Zeke didn't have a great week. He didn't score a touchdown, right? 1590 isn't a great week for Zeke, and he still put up 183. He could have been the first team for sure to go over 200. And I think he has that potential every week in and week out. Right? I don't know how his bye weeks look, but he has the deepest team at this point. There's no doubt there.
Yeah, I agree with Baby Sal. If you're looking to trade,
We're going to see a trade for him this week.
I think you should reach out to him. I think he's got a lot of depth. He's got one of those weird problems where his bench and his starters are both so good that you don't know who to start sometimes, which I guess is a good problem to have. But yeah, Keenan Allen went off for him this week. I think Waller's a great pick at tight end, rooted in his offense with Cars looking to him early and often. I think Mark Ingram's gonna have a great year. He's already doing great. I don't know if we can rely on him to get as many touchdowns as he's scoring, but I think that that Lamar Jackson-led offense is flying on all cylinders right now, and I think that I want any part of that I can get because we know that he's been looking good at quarterback, but he's more of a runner, and they've been using that offense with him and Ingram, and Ingram's been playing lights out. What do you think about Chris's team? I think everybody expected Chris to lose this one. Do you think he could turn it around? Do you think he's got to make some moves? I mean, Saquon Barkley just for him.
Yeah. Where I'm going. I mean, Barkley got hurt early. Cohen was nowhere to be found, and the dude still put up almost 130. It wasn't a bad week. Imagine Barkley actually put up 30. He's in the 150, 160 range. His bench looks good. Aguilar's here. He's here to stay for right now. You got to get him in. This is his time to shine. Put him in. Sanu's is not a bad flex. He gives you some depth, but other than that, he doesn't have much. He just kind of has some handcuffs. I don't know why Aguilar's not in. That boggles me a little bit. Barkley's out for 3 to 4 weeks.
Right.
That's tough.
And maybe
that does hurt.
Maybe 6 to 8.
Yeah. Okay. I see where that hurts. You gotta find a running back now. You gotta trade. Want to trade Aguilar or whatever? I don't know. Gordon. You need a running back, dude. You didn't play the waiver wire. Let's look at his team. Did he get anybody this week?
He didn't get the handcuff in Wayne Gallman either.
You got every handcuff but the one he needed, right?
Yeah, he took my handcuff. He took Jalen Richard, who is
that's where that shoots you in the foot. Okay, so he was the one in the handcuff thing.
Yeah, this guy's stuck starting Tariq Cohen.
I do love Cooper Kupp. If you want to trade, I'll give you a running back.
Yeah, it seems like he's got a bunch of backup running backs on his roster, but not the backup he needs. He starts Cohen, who's getting like 5 points a game. I think he definitely needs to look to trade one of those big-time receivers he's got. He's got Zach Ertz, who's a solid tight end. I think he's definitely going to need to make some moves. He's going to want to make any push.
Yeah, Ertz hasn't hit his stride either.
I think he's going to want to
Not
have
to play Ertz and Aguilar. I can feel that. So maybe trade away or Aguilar, or even trade away Ertz. I mean, Ertz is huge value.
Yeah, you got to suit your needs. He needs running backs right now. I mean,
you can't give up. There's no way you can give up.
Before he got hurt, he was starting Cohen, who was putting up 5 points a game. So I mean, yeah, he's got to make some moves. He's got to do them now. Just to let everybody know what those ranks were, so we can keep a consistency here. So Chris Hansen, after that last performance, moved down to rank 9. I think if he doesn't start making moves, Anthony Cass might pass him. I really do.
The long slope down.
Yeah, I mean, his team only got worse. He lost his first round pick.
Let's just say he doesn't have to be an 0-3 team. That's a tough break for him, but you don't want to go any further in the hole.
Yeah, I don't think he's the worst team in the league. I think there's worse.
It's a make or break week, God.
Nah, he's gone some bad weeks, but you don't want to go 0-4. 0-3 can come back from 0-4 is a big hole. You don't want to dig it even further. The Barkley injury didn't help him. I think he's got to make some moves. He's got to make some trades.
Anyway, you get the 6 losses in fantasy football, you're in trouble.
I think he's got a
breaking point. I did get to a championship at 6 and 7, but that was an anomaly. So first, 6 and 7, dude.
Yeah, man. I think he's.
I mean, use that as a point too. I went 6 and 7, and I found my way to the playoffs. So, but don't give up.
No, I don't think he should give up. I think
it doesn't matter. Top to bottom.
Making trades, he's kind of a guy that kind of sticks to his guys, and that's it. But sometimes you got to stray away. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it's broken. He's got to fix it soon. I think
in a 16-team league or 14-team league, I mean, there's plenty of players around.
I agree. Tooch was number 3 last in this recent week power rankings. We'll see how he does next week, but I could see him surging up to number 2 or 1. I mean, he's got one of the best teams in the league. Him and I had a great matchup week 1. I barely beat him. We both put up a lot of points. I mean, I think I'll definitely see him again in the result.
I have a tough week, man. Marky Mark is no joke this year.
No, definitely not. I would definitely look out for him.
And very quietly too, obviously. We wasn't at the draft, right?
No, he's a quiet. He's a sleeper, but the guy knows what he's doing.
Oh, he definitely
trying to make moves. I know he's sending trades out. He's always trying to better his team, and it shows. I think that he's going to definitely make a surge towards that trophy. Moving forward towards the back end of our show here. We got Sonny Leone versus This League Blows, which is Joey's team. Last week, Luca Duccio's team, Sonny Leone, he had a rough week 1, and we all said it on the first podcast that his team on paper is very good. It's going to turn around. He had a bad week, and what do you know? He won the next 2 games. I think his team looks good top to bottom. Like Julio, like Larry Fitz, the number, especially where he drafted, and Larry Fitz putting up solid numbers. His running backs are okay. I'm not big on Sonny Michel and PPR. I think that he could slide Phillip Lindsay in for Matt Breida's bye week because that 49ers backfield is kind of a mess.
Yeah.
But I think Phillip Lindsay had a great week. Luke didn't even start him, but I think he might be a nice RB2. Travis Kelce's going to give you some numbers throughout the board at tight end. Brandon Cooks, yeah, Luke's got a deep team too, man. D.D. Westbrook's Tyrell Williams, who's been a stud for Oakland right now. He's scoring every game, I think. Yeah, if you want to reach out for some depth, I think Luke's definitely a team to do it. Let me see. Luke is rated. He's been surging. He was last in the power rankings or 11th in the power rankings. He's now on 5th, and I could see him moving higher. I mean, I think his team has a lot of potential. What do you think?
I think Phillip Lindsay needs to be in his starting lineup. I don't think you give up on Sonny Michel for the season, but definitely Phillip Lindsay is finally hitting his stride here. The Sonny Michel thing, he was getting the volume. It doesn't look like he got it this